Hey there, Dr. Gimmler here to talk about sleep hygiene. Sleep hygiene basically just means the healthy habits that you have around sleep. This is going to be part one. So most of us think about our sleep habits just in terms of what we do immediately before bed, but your sleep hygiene actually starts first thing in the morning. So the first thing that you can do to have good sleep hygiene is to wake up at the same time every day, even on the weekend. And I know a lot of times on the weekend we think like that's the time we want to catch up on sleep, but if you sleep in 2 or 3 hours past your normal weekday alarm clock, you're basically giving yourself jet lag every single weekend. And then the first half of every work week, you're going to spend trying to catch up and readjust to that schedule. So as much as possible, if you can wake up at the same time, even on the weekends, that'll help get your circadian rhythm set. Nowadays, I can't really sleep in on the weekends because I have young children. So I pretty much wake up at the same time every day. Maybe I sleep in like 30 or 45 minutes later on the weekend, but basically having a set schedule. Another thing, first thing in the morning, is waking up without the snooze button. So I know it's tempting to press that snooze button, over and over again, but studies have shown that if you just wake up as soon as the alarm goes off, you'll be happier and have more energy throughout the day. That's because that extra 10 minutes of sleep you get every time you press snooze isn't restful. You're not usually able to go into the REM cycle. So skip the snooze button and just wake up when your alarm goes off. Earlier in the day, if you can exercise and also go outside and get a little bit of sunlight, that will help set your circadian rhythms so that you're awake during the day and tired during the night. And it helps with your melatonin production if you get sunlight during the day. Last, the sleep experts recommend not drinking caffeine for 8 hours before bedtime. That seems like a really long time. I mean, if you're trying to fall asleep by 10, that means no caffeine after 2 p.m. But even if you don't feel like a hyperactive caffeine buzz when you drink caffeine, it can still be affecting your sleep. If you have that feeling where you're tired, so you lay down in bed and then your eyes just pop open and you can't sleep, that may mean you need to cut your caffeine earlier in the day. I'm very sensitive, so I usually cut my caffeine after like 12:30 p.m. Let's see, okay, next is at dinner. The things you can do to help you sleep better would be to finish eating your dinner 3 hours before you intend to be asleep. If you eat too close to bedtime, you can get a glucose spike, which then causes an insulin spike, which then causes a drop in your glucose, and that can wake you up. For dinner, you want to eat mostly vegetables, lean protein, and fiber-filled carbohydrates like whole grains. That tends to give you a prolonged level of energy that allows you to stay asleep at night. You want to avoid really high sugar foods because just like we talked about with eating too close to bed, that glucose spike and the resultant glucose drop sends danger signals to your brain that causes you to wake up. You also want to avoid super high fat foods for dinner because those can be hard to digest and digestive issues could keep you up at night. You want to limit alcohol at night because drinking alcohol interferes with your REM cycles. So even though it's a depressant and it might make you feel more sleepy and fall asleep more easily, studies have shown that you won't get high quality sleep if you've been drinking alcohol. You won't feel rested in the morning no matter how long you sleep for. You also shouldn't use nicotine. That's a stimulant, so it could keep you awake at night. So this was all sleep hygiene part one, what we can do during the day to help us sleep better at night. In part two, we'll talk about what we do at bedtime. Stay tuned.